remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me and my team, I welcome you. I hope you stay, and I hope that whatever you find here in terms of information is going to greatly benefit you and help and expand you in your own unique higher consciousness. My job, if you will, and ultimately my desire is to help you see yourself grow beyond your own limitations. And as being part of human being, you have limitations. We all have limitations. As a physical being, that holds within itself a whole bunch of limitations too. But even within the experience of having a limited physical body, there is a lot more room for incredible expansion in terms of our mind, because the mind goes beyond the body. And since all is mind, you are part of all that is, even though you are experiencing life from a perspective of an individual physical body. So my job as Joanna with my team is to help you not only understand that, but more importantly, it's to embody that. It's to embody the oneness that we all possess inside. So I hope this information will benefit you in that. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Again, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be guided by very powerful, beautiful energies. And I love what I do. So you help me to do what I love. And I am immensely, immensely grateful for that. And when I do this thing, whatever it is that I do, I communicate with the universe. It makes me feel like I'm at home. And I have a funny suspicion that when you yourself tap into this ability, which you have, everyone has, you too will feel like you are more at home with yourself, because that's where home is. Higher consciousness is home. So ultimately, my desire is to help us all feel at home within ourselves, within our bodies, within our minds, with other people, with the universe itself. And even though we are experiencing ourselves as separate, we are all unified by one and one thing only. And my team calls it universal love. Some call it God. Some call it source. You can even call it a ladybug. It makes no difference, because the underlying condition is there. Love is all there is. Anything other than that is simply an illusion, and illusion is beautiful. We are here to experience all kinds of and forms of illusions. Illusions allow us to play and have fun. Though you may not be looking at your experience as a fun experience, particularly if you are going through a lot of turmoil. But to your soul, your soul is having a blast. It does not mean that it dismisses or laughs at your tribulations and difficulty and challenges. Quite the opposite. Your soul knows you because you are your soul. So it does not mean that your soul does not feel what you feel. Absolutely it does. However, your soul knows that there is no end to it existing. In other words, this is part of the experience, it's part of the game you chose to play, but there's so much more beyond this game. This is just a little tiny, yet important piece of information that you are gathering as being on Earth and having this experience. And the entire universe is essentially information. It's all mind. One might say that God, source, is essentially information. All there is information. I'm seeing myself as Joanna trying to process this information with my mind. But when I talk about the mind, it goes obviously beyond the human mind. So thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to help me promote this channel. As you know, or maybe you don't know, YouTube works on algorithms. So if I don't get likes, or if I don't get comments, or if my videos don't get comments, then the algorithm holds it back and it does not support growth of my channel. And the only way I can get out this, I find, powerful information, in some ways profound information, that's ancient old, by the way. The more people are able to see this channel and connect with this channel and connect with this information, the more we will become an empowered nation. What does it mean to be an empowered nation? And I mean worldwide. For one, it means to be united. To live in unity rather than separation and judgment. And wouldn't that be a lot more fun if we lived in a world where there was a lot less scarcity and a lot less lack and a lot less judgment and a lot less pretending to be in order to be loved? Wouldn't it be more fun to play a game where you understand that everything is an illusion, and even though you are experiencing this illusion and this illusion feels real, at the end of the day, it is an illusion. You are more than that. You are more than an experience you are having. You are more than the dreams you have for yourself, although those are very important in terms of what you experience. You are more than your toothache, and if you've ever had a really bad toothache, you thought that's all there is, my goddamn toothache, I can't think of anything else. It becomes your world. This is how powerful the mind is. It's an indication of the power the mind has to focus on something, and as a result of focusing on something, it creates within that focus. So it is important what we focus on. If we focus on self-neglect, which is actually the opposite of self-love, then we will be experiencing an illusion of self-neglect. Now, I'm saying the words illusion because as a soul, you're not in neglect of yourself. You're having an experience, but in a human body, you're not attending to all your needs. And when we don't attend to all our needs, emotionally, spiritually, physically, there's another one. I just heard romantically. That's not what it's supposed to be, but romantically. Okay, so some of you are not attending to your romantic needs. I don't know what that means. It's a message for somebody. However it lands on you, if it's supposed to land on you and for you, you'll know exactly what it means for you. Okay. Back to the topic. When we don't take care of ourselves, when we neglect ourselves, we become less connected and more disconnected from the source, which is what we are all a part of. Which means that when we don't take care of our needs, we are not living in full alignment. What does it mean to live in full alignment? It means to be at one with source. That's what I'm being asked to say. It logically makes absolute sense to me. Why would you want to be one with source? Well, think about it this way. Source is the source of everything. You being aligned with the source of everything have access to this everything. That's why you'd want to be aligned. It's magical. That's why. You want to be aligned because you want to experience a lot more in your life. I'm presuming that's why you're here. Every single one of you watching this, however it comes to you, is for one reason and one reason only, and that's because your soul desires to raise your own human consciousness. You are here not just to survive, you are here to thrive, but you are here mainly for the purpose of helping humanity rise consciousness. So if you've ever wondered, why am I here? This is one of the big reasons why you are here. There's many reasons for why you are here in this physical body, having an earthly experience. One of your reasons is to learn how to love a pet. And there's many other reasons. But one of the bigger reasons is that you are here to help shift humanity's understanding of itself, because humanity has an understanding of itself. If you are here watching this, it's because you're being drawn on some level to you are basically learning how to recondition yourself, how to let go of your old conditioning, and you are seeking as a result for something more, because you know there is more out there. You know there is more. You don't know how, perhaps sometimes you don't know how to access it, you don't know how to reach it. What is this more? What if I told you that this more is everything? In other words, you are here partly because you are in some recognition on some level that you are part of everything. You are part of it all. And you're trying to get your human head around that. And perhaps because of that, you are seeking for information. What is this all about? Why am I here? Well, we can get into discussion as to why you are here on a separate podcast. I believe there's a video a few weeks ago that I posted about your soul's purpose. I mean, everyone has their own truth about what they believe, the reason they are here for as a soul. But many of you may not, as human beings, know exactly or be sure within yourself that you know what your purpose is. Your purpose is to exchange information. That is your purpose. If you are hearing this, if you are seeing this, one of your greatest purposes is to be in exchange of information. In other words, share. Share your understanding with another. So perhaps you are coming into this channel in order to learn what to share. But before you share anything that you hear, make sure that it's worth sharing. Is it something you want to share? Is it something that's important to share? Is it something that people want me to share with them? Why would I want to share? Well, first, before you share anything, make sure that it is an even exchange within you. In other words, what you are hearing is not necessarily what you should believe. Be mindful of what you hear. Be discerning of what you hear. Listen with your intuition. Listen with your body. Listen a little bit less with your head. Why? Because your body will tell you whether this information is for you or not right now. It simply won't make sense. But it's not that it's not going to make sense on a logical level, because oftentimes this information doesn't make sense on a logical level, but there is a certain experience happening where inside of you don't know what it is that's being said, but it just makes sense. That's because vibrationally speaking, you are aligned with this vibration. You are aligned with this channel. Okay, what's being channeled. So your purpose is to live, your purpose is to thrive, your purpose is to experience. And also your purpose is to be a channel. To be a channel for information, to be a channel of may I say higher information, but there is no judgment around it. Okay? You are aligning yourself together with many others to be at one with the one. Why? So that you can be of support to this planet Earth, because she needs your higher vibration. Why does she need your higher vibration? Because she's ascending, and I'm sure many of you know that already. In other words, your purpose here is to be part of the process of ascension. And in order to be a part of the process of ascension, and you are a part of it, then you must be ascending as well. Perhaps you don't know what this ascension means. It simply means realizing that you are more than whatever it is that you have been used to up until this point. There's a lot more to you. There's a lot more where that comes from. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. And I think that's because Joanna here is shifting. Her perspectives are shifting. her perspectives are widening, so she's open to newer type of information, more elaborate types of information, and the content seems to flow a little bit differently. So what I have is I have a whole bunch of messages from the universe. Some of you may call it God, some of you may call it Source. This is universal consciousness giving us all information. And there is, I believe, 8 different points, 8 or 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it almost in piles, and you get to choose out of 7 piles. And I usually do 3. Sometimes I do 4. I've never done 7. So notice what message you are drawn to. You may drawn to be more to more than one. In fact, I would encourage you to listen to all of these messages. But if you get pulled towards a title of a message, let's say there is 7 messages and you get pulled towards 4, then chances are that vibrationally speaking, you are most aligned with this message at this time. You may have 2 or 3 or 4 messages that stick out to you. There's going to be a number of them for many of you. But I would encourage you to listen to all, because I believe this exchange of information is worthwhile listening to, because it is true in nature for everybody. Some people may just be in different spaces, and certain message is vibrationally meant to be heard right now, meant to be experienced. When I sat down to record this video, I thought, okay, we are entering June. I feel this is going to be messages for the month of June. And even though I'm not going to be doing cards, I will read to you what I channeled literally just before I turn on the camera. So let's see how the flow goes. The way the information is presented a little bit different, but you still get to pick and choose like your personal message. But there is message in every single one of these messages, I believe, for every single human being. Okay. So the first thing I was shown is brain fog. I felt that what it meant was that over the next few weeks, many of us will be experiencing a mental block or a mental fog. And that can often be very frustrating, especially when you are building something, when you are trying to create a certain experience, but you have no clarity. And sometimes that can drive you mad, because we have deadlines and we have expectations. So when we feel this brain fog and when we don't know whether we're coming or going, it often can make us feel very anxious. So I feel in the month of I'm actually going all the way to July. I feel this actually has been happening. Okay, I feel like it's been happening already and it's going to continue. So perhaps June is a reminder. You are likely to feel like your brain is in a fog. Okay, give yourself a pat on the back and say, okay, it's just a matter of time before I have clarity, before the fog disappears, before the clouds part and I am crystal clear. When you become crystal clear, you will be seeing what I see is a number 9. So some of you may become very clear in September, which is a few months away. Or when you become clear, it'll be evident to you that you are letting go of something. Something is being let go of. Do not be afraid of what you are letting go of, because ultimately whatever you are letting go of is going to be replaced at a later time with something much more substantial. Okay? This is the message that came through. Become invincible. That was a very interesting choice of words. Trust yourself in the process you are going through. Beginnings and endings are part of life. You are now entering a new cycle of love, faith, and trust towards the world and others in this world who are also seeking their own alignment. So you are in a process of seeking. Perhaps you are in a process of seeking your own alignment. Perhaps you have been feeling misaligned, and now you're trying really hard to align yourself, but your brain is in the fog. Trust the process. Whatever you're going through, whatever it is that you are grappling with in your mind, know that this is a process, and this fogginess is part of the process. Perhaps you're not supposed to see it. Perhaps you are not ready for what you are going to see. And a lot of the times it's all about divine timing. Sometimes we have to be ready to see whatever it is that we are going to see. For many reasons. One of them is we are much more able or equipped to deal with something. Again, this doesn't mean anything bad. It could actually be something fantabulous, where some massive opportunity is being given to you, but you're not ready yet because you need to work through your own programmings that would sabotage your massive opportunity waiting for you. So hence, being in the fog, you might be reaching out to people for help. And during this process of you reaching out for people to help, you realize that there is something that you haven't been looking at, and these people help you see it. And you go, wow, I didn't know that this even existed. That makes so much sense. And boom, a brand new identity is born, one that is much more ready to accept whatever is coming. Okay? So that is message number one. Message number two is about choices. Forgo the negative conclusions that the system imprints upon you. You can't do this. Why not? Boost your mental clarity and activity by choosing less chemicals to put in your body. Become less anxious by practicing yoga and meditation and all forms of activities that strengthen your mind and ultimately the collective's mind. Your mind is your greatest resource of information. You have access to anything you ever want, but you first need to decide why you want something. Does it serve you or the higher collective? Anything that pleases you without harming or interfering with another is adding to the collective's higher consciousness. You and they are all part of one. Choosing good for you is choosing good for them. This almost feels like a light code where there is a lot more information encoded than what I was reading, because I feel like this message is very, you're gonna have to go through it again. It feels like there's layers and layers, and I feel it's going to hit everybody differently. But ultimately, number two is about choices and aligning ourselves not only with better choices, but also choosing the right choices for ourselves. For example, why would you want to choose something you don't want? Well, that's no brainer. But we often, and sometimes more often than not, choose exactly that, what we don't want. We choose what we don't want. Why on earth would we choose what we don't want? Well, the only reason why I feel that we would choose what we don't want is if we are not conscious of this choosing. And now here's an important question. Are you choosing based on what is your unconscious truth? For example, if you are choosing to stay in a job that makes you absolutely miserable and it takes away from you rather than adding to you, why would you choose to experience that? Because I'm assuming that's not what you want. I don't believe, well, you could. I mean, you could be a masochist, but chances are what I described is something you don't want. Why would you choose for yourself every day to be there? What comes right away is, well, I need the money. Of course, everyone needs money. 100%. You need money. What are your beliefs about money? What are your beliefs about getting another job? What are your beliefs about getting something better? What are your beliefs about the skills you have or don't have and whatever it is that would be necessary in order for you to find a better job? What are your beliefs about that? I bet you will find some pesky intruders with some negative belief systems that tell you that you have to be here in this miserable position because you can't have anything else, because you're not supposed to, because this is what you should be doing, because this is what you're used to, because this is what your career is, because this is what makes you money, because, and on and on and on it goes. And none of this is bad or good for that matter. It simply is. But based on those beliefs, you are doing the choosing. And the choosing that you are doing in this particular example is something you don't want. Why would you choose less rather than more for yourself? Why would you choose less rather than more? One simple answer is perhaps you don't believe you can have more. You first have to choose. You have to choose the wanting to have more. But wanting, just wanting isn't everything. Behind every wanting is an action, is a belief. If you want lots of money, we have to make certain steps towards it. One of the steps could be looking at your ideas around money. If you live in lack when it comes to money, you will constantly be creating lack of money. And you will be doing it unconsciously, choosing it. You're choosing it. You're choosing it. That's why when people say, oh, you choose this, and somebody gets angry, I didn't choose this. I used to get angry all the time about this. When someone would say, oh, you're in this situation because you're choosing it, I felt like I was going to punch her in the face. But I didn't do that, obviously. But now I understand what it means. Years and years later, it makes so much sense to me. I'm choosing it unconsciously. I was choosing it unconsciously because I didn't know myself. Pile number 2, or message number 2. Look at your choices and ask yourself, are these choices that I really want, or do I want different choices for myself? And if I want different choices for myself, what could those choices be? And what are my beliefs around these choices? Do I believe in them? Do I trust in them? Do I believe those choices to be true for me? Because if they're not, you're never going to get them. You're never going to spend a moment of your time working towards something you can't have. Not really. So that's number 2. Number 3 is about guidance. This was very interesting. Be choosy in who you let or allow to guide your hand or creative expression. If someone teaches you how to fish, then that is a good option for you to learn from. On the other hand, if someone is always feeding you and not helping you feed yourself, you will always remain a victim to your circumstance. That's a big one. I, as Joanna, when I first started doing this channeling work, I would naturally attract to myself people who wanted to know their future, who wanted to know what to do, who wanted guidance. And I was never really big on this whole future thing because I understand that our future for the most part belongs to us. There are some things, yes, but we have far more free will than we think we do. We just don't know about it. And people would come to me and they would be asking questions about, tell me what's in my future. Tell me when I'm going to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. Tell me when I'm going to make more money. Tell me when I'm going to get a better job. What I did is I gave them what their brain wanted, and then I took them on a journey in order to help them understand, why do you want what you want, and what are the beliefs about what you want? Why are you asking the questions in the first place? Why are you asking someone to tell you what your life is going to be like? Your life is up to you. So this is when they talk about, if someone teaches you how to fish, that's beautiful. But if someone constantly feeds you but doesn't teach you how to feed yourself, you will constantly be going to other people to feed you information, validation, answers to your questions. You are going to be the person that you go to others for information. The greatest source of information is inside you. Do you realize that? But in order for you to benefit from this all-knowing you have to know yourself. You have to go deeper within. You have to realize that everything you want to experience lies in what's called the potential. You are a walking potential. And what will create this potential as your reality is your truths about this. If you don't believe you can't do something, you're rarely going to do it. Or if you do it, you're going to fail. By the way, there's no such thing as failure. By failing, I mean you're not going to get what you want. Well, how can you get something you don't believe in? Not going to happen. Or if whatever you believe in has a negative connotation to it, you're not going to want to attract something that's negative. Now, see, that's not conscious thinking. That's all unconscious. So this is very much about empowerment. Pile number 3, if I can say that word. Be mindful who you choose as your own authority. If you are not your own authority, you're in trouble. That's because you're putting your authority in somebody else's hands. When you put authority in somebody else's hands, they become the authority of you, which means they're your authority, not you. And what does authority do? Well, we tend to think of authority as more educated, knowing more information, having better guidance, having more wisdom, just being more, knowing more. You will think of yourself as less than, and you will not trust your own information. And you will bypass your own inner powerful information that could guide you, because you're going to be giving that up in favor of somebody telling you something, some other authority. Be your own authority. Choose wisely. Choose based on your own inner understanding rather than somebody telling you to choose. If you don't know what your choice is or what you would like to choose, go within. Ask yourself, what would I rather choose? Okay? You have to allow yourself to choose. Okay? Be choosy who comes into your life, and be choosy of regrets. Why regrets? Okay, what I'm getting here is that to have a regret is a choice. What's a regret? Regret is something you don't find valuable, you waste of time, or you feel bad. Regret is just like, ugh. I don't even know exactly what the word means, but that's the feel I'm getting is it's not pleasant. What if instead of regret, you saw something as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to be wiser? So pile number 2, or yes, message number 3, message number 3. Be embodying your own authority. Embody your own authority. Choose who you let into your life, and choose wisely. When you ask for guidance, when you go to people for a reading, let's say, do yourself a favor and ask the energy that's going to be working in a reading to help you understand yourself. Why? Because ultimately, you understanding yourself is you becoming very powerful. Now, you're a powerful being anyway, but you may not see that about yourself because of the understanding you have about yourself. Okay? That's very common. Okay? There are forces out there who don't want you to see yourself as big. You will be asking too many questions. Some people don't have use for that. But ultimately, always ask yourself what you choose to happen in your life. What do I choose to happen in my life? What do I choose to experience? Choose. And let your choosing define your experiences. If you want more money, as an example, this is a very common understanding about money. If you want more money, you have to choose more money and not choose fear around money. And again, we would not consciously choose fear. But when we have fear around money, by choosing money, we are choosing fear around money unless we heal whatever the fear is, and then integrate it. Okay? So that's it for message number 3. Message number 4. You are not alone. Be an integral person. See yourself as part of the collective rather than separate from it. Whichever you practice, you add both positive and negative in terms of your own vibration. Practice patience and inner stability by seeing yourself as part of the whole. When you feel as part of something, you often will not feel alone, especially during times of trying and discomfort and instability. Okay? So this to me speaks of separation. Again, this message is almost like layers to it. Listen to it a few times. But this feels to me very much about oneness with yourself, and ultimately oneness with the world, and ultimately oneness with the universe. We are a long way away, I feel, from experiencing living in unified consciousness on planet Earth. I feel that we will experience pockets of unity, but in terms as a whole collective, I personally, as Joanna, don't feel it's going to happen in my lifetime. Might even be a few lifetimes. Okay, it's because it's a process. It's a very demanding process. But here's how the process starts. It starts with you, because the consciousness is made from you and me and everybody else and everything else. Okay? So when in our own consciousness we think of ourselves as separate, we're going to be practicing more of that separateness. Okay? When we see ourselves as separate, that comes with judgment, because in order for us to see ourselves as separate, we have to have a judgment. Okay? At least that's what I'm being asked to say. Judgment is what separates us. Love is what unites us. Pretty self-explanatory. Judge yourself less and experience more oneness within your own self. And by practicing this oneness within your own self, and everybody practicing this oneness within themselves, ultimately we will bridge the gap between separation and unity, and we will begin to vibrate at a level of oneness. Okay? But it starts with you. Where are you at odds with yourself? Message number 4. Where are you at odds with yourself? Where in life do you feel alone? You may legitimately not have anyone around you. Of course, it happens all the time. But with the universe behind your back and supporting you, you're not alone. You may not think of it that way. You may not feel the support of the universe. You may not feel supported by your guides and angels. You may feel like you are all alone. You have no support. That's a belief. And I'm not saying it's a wrong belief, bad belief, good belief. I'm making no distinction. I'm simply saying it is a belief. Okay? If you believe that you are doing this all alone, it's a belief, because you can't be alone. You're surrounded by consciousness itself. You're surrounded by the universe. You are part of the universe. Therefore, in that equation, you cannot be alone. You don't feel connected. You feel separate, but that's because of the illusion that you are experiencing. So, number 4, it's about looking at your own illusion of separateness. Your own illusions of separateness. Why do I often feel alone? Is it perhaps that I feel alone because I don't connect with anybody? Or maybe people have problems connecting with me? Is it because I feel different, or I look different, or I deem myself to be different? And in order to protect my different, I keep space away from other people, which equals alone. Perhaps one of the reasons why you are experiencing alone is because you are afraid of being around other people, because you are perhaps afraid that they're going to hurt you. Well, if your belief system is, or if your belief is that other people are going to hurt me, you're not going to put yourself You're not going to make yourself available to other people. How could you? They're going to hurt you. So you protect yourself. You protect yourself by creating walls, by creating this separation, so you are less likely to get hurt. Yet in a process, you're hurting yourself by becoming and feeling alone. No one wants to be alone. Don't get me wrong. Having alone moments is beautiful. It's powerful. It's necessary. That's how you get to know yourself. But ultimately, we are all part of oneness. We are all glued together, if you will, by this vibrant vibration called universal love. So you can never be alone. You may feel alone. You may think you're alone. You may believe that you're alone, but you're never alone. That's an illusion, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with having this illusion. And separateness is also an illusion. When you live separate from yourself, you live outside of yourself. You're not in your body. When you're at odds with yourself, you are not in alignment with yourself. You're not at oneness with you. You're not at oneness with all your capabilities you have brought with you from other lifetimes that you don't even know you have, because you are rejecting yourself. Ask yourself this question, message number 4. Do I believe in me? Do I believe in me? Do I believe in others? Do I believe, or actually, what do I believe? What do I believe about me? Message number 4, important question. What do I believe about me? What does being mean to me? What does me mean to me? What do you mean to you? What do you mean to you? It's an important question. Okay. Number 5. It's about opposition. So this is kind of piggybacking on number 4. Rise above the opposition to vibrate higher. Distinguish between same and different by only looking at it from a higher perspective. Anything less is a form of judgment. Okay. Again, rise above opposition to vibrate higher. Distinguish between same and different by only looking at it from a higher perspective. Anything less is a form of judgment. So, message number 5. Be less judgmental. And I'm not judging you for being judgmental, because I'm a judgmental person myself. I come from a lot of judgments. A lot. But one thing I have learned throughout my entire spiritual journey, and it was actually told to me by my spirit team, judge yourself less and you will be less judgmental towards your environment. And the environment is everything. Okay? So lose the judgments you hold about yourself, especially those judgments that are of negative, lower vibrating nature. Okay? And don't think of your judgments as inconsequential. They're extremely consequential. How you judge yourself, you will consequently have an experience based on that judgment. What if you practice more self-love? You might want to ask yourself the question, what does self-love mean to me? Some people get weirded out by the idea of self-love. But if you don't love yourself, you are in denial of who you are, because you are made of particles of unconditional love. There is nothing else. Anything other than that is, remember, an illusion. Okay? Look at everything from a higher perspective. Try not to judge as black and white. Try to see everything as inclusive. When we look at another person and we cast a judgment, what we're really doing is we're casting a judgment about ourselves, because that person represents who we are on a certain level. Okay? So when you judge somebody, you judge yourself. When you judge yourself, you will ultimately end up judging other people. That's just the way it goes. So I would encourage you, message number 5, to give yourself permission to be less judgmental towards yourself first and foremost, and that will naturally spill over to everything and everybody. And when we become less judgmental, by the side effect, we become more loving. Because when we judge less, we accept more. When you judge yourself less, you accept yourself more. That's an act of self-love. Self-acceptance is self-love. What don't you love about yourself? What don't you accept about yourself? What don't you accept about other people, and why? Why? They're different. What sorts of judgments do you cast on another to make your belief of separateness be rooted in this space of negativity? I'm not judging you for it, by the way. There's no judgment around it, but you are here in part, big part, to help raise human consciousness, and letting go of judgments is letting go of separateness, and that is very healing to the planet. Be kind to yourself, and then you will notice that kindness spill onto others. Be less rejecting of yourself, and you will notice this rejection spilling less over to other people and other things. Be more inclusive. Include yourself in the process. There is no them and you. It's all one. You are experiencing your life as a unique individual entity, but you are all part of one. When you judge someone, you judge yourself. When you hurt someone, you hurt yourself. You're just not conscious of it, not right now. This is just a reminder. When you hurt you, when you reject you, you hurt you. Okay? Have you ever been rejected? I'm sure you have, because it's part of life. You probably were hurt. Perhaps you even said to yourself, that doesn't hurt me. Yeah, no, rejection sucks. To the degree of which you will hang on to this rejection is a whole different matter, but rejection sucks. Rejection basically tells us that somehow we're not good enough. We're maybe not even good enough for love or to be loved. Rejection sucks. Okay? When you reject yourself, it sucks. You just don't think about it. So do less of the sucky thing and start being more inclusive with yourself, and notice how that feels in your body, how the energy feels differently in your body. And naturally your vibration will rise higher, and you will naturally share that vibration with others, help others raise their vibration to be higher. Remember what your job is here. You're here to share information, and how you share information doesn't have to be with words. It can just be purely with your energy body. So that's what I have for message number 5. Message number 6, illusions. I thought this was interesting. Tone down your sensationalism. You are a magnet to what you believe. Thoughts are forms of information. Make sure you want the information you act on are aligned with highest truth. And the highest truth is all is love, and love is everything. Anything less than that does not exist and is merely a formed illusion with the help of your mind, which produces formed thoughts of illusion. Make sure the illusion you count on is the one you ultimately want to practice. If you believe in hate, then you must practice what you believe. Otherwise, why bother believing in something? Example. Pretending to be a nobody is an illusion from the mind's creation, and it is derived from the illusion of separation from source. You are not separate from source. You are merely seeing life and yourself through your unique perspective the source gave you, by creating you as a unique individual through which God sees. Pretending you are less than that is pretending and playing small. So this is a very loaded message. Has many components to it. But basically what I get, well, first and foremost, tone down your sensationalism. And I actually had to look up that word. And sensationalism is not a great thing. I don't want to, sensationalism. The use of exciting or shocking stories on language at the expense of accuracy or in order to provoke public interest or excitement. Okay? When we get involved in sensationalism, are we really getting involved in what we want? Is this ultimately what we want to feel? Okay? And sensationalism is at the expense of accuracy. Okay? Which means what you might be attaching yourself to is a form of illusion, but it has a negative vibe to it. Okay? And again, this is not about a judgment of negative vibe, positive vibe. It's all about how do you want to feel? How do you choose to feel? How do you choose to feel? If you are involved with gossip, for example, and I'm not saying you are, but if you're involved in gossip and someone gossiping and you are being part of the group, you are partaking in the gossiping. You may not be doing the gossiping yourself, but you are definitely absorbing, you're playing with that energy. And sometimes it's hard to walk away when you're with a group of people you like and all of a sudden somebody starts to gossip. You walking away might be seen as you thinking that you're better or that somehow you disapprove. So it's a tricky situation. So walking away from something physically may not be necessarily the right thing to do. It may send a message you don't want to send. But then how do you not partake in this energy? Well, one way as it's coming to me is to realize that the person that does the gossiping is not looking at him or herself. And he or she needs that gossip to fuel her own inner conflict. Okay, so what that person is doing by gossiping, that person is fueling their own inner conflict. Gossiping comes from an unhealed space. If you choose to see gossip as that, and you realize that's what it's happening, but you're not in a place to tell to this person, hey, you're gossiping because you're unhealed, may not be something that you want to practice or that you should practice for that matter. Okay, it may not just be. It has nothing to do with you. However, by understanding the situation for what it really is, you can realize that, okay, this is what's happening and have a certain form of detachment. So you are in the group per se, but you are not absorbing any of that energy. You're just seeing it for what it is, and you have compassion for the person because you realize in order for the person to gossip and revel in the gossiping, they're fueling some inner conflict, and they may not even be conscious about it, which is the worst thing of all. When they're not conscious, there's nothing they can do about it, so they just perpetuate the same old, same old. You seeing that can cut the cord. Okay. Now, I don't know why gossip specifically was used as an example. I've gossiped. I certainly know what gossip is. I went to high school. I've worked in places with people, let's face it, people like to talk about other people, okay? Unless they realize that talking about other people, especially when it's of diminishing nature, really doesn't serve us at all. It doesn't serve the collective. It certainly doesn't serve the person or those who are listening. It's just not a great way of manipulating our own energies. But I feel that the example was given because gossip is many things, but it can be very hurtful. Gossip is also spreading rumors that are not true, which can be very hurtful. Again, sensationalism, gossip, I feel that's one and the same, or at least it has a certain familiar quality to it, similar quality to it. Maybe message number 6, maybe that's something you need to look at. Perhaps it is you that you're doing the gossiping, or you are around some people who gossip, and how do you partake in that? How does it affect you? Just the idea of gossip, okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory, but the idea of gossip, illusions, and sensationalism is coming up, okay? make sure that when you involve yourself in something, that it is ultimately something that you want to feel. Now, gossiping may feel good to someone, but it's not a healthy good. Drinking alcohol 10 hours a day may feel good to someone because they're trying to numb something. It doesn't mean it's good for them. So whatever you involve yourself in, whatever illusions, make sure that this is the energy you want to vibe in. And check where you're coming from. Are you coming from a place of scarcity, or are you coming from a space of love? Are you coming from a space of unity, or are you coming from a space of separateness? Remember, we're learning who we are, and we're understanding the higher nature, the higher truth, so that we can share this information with others and let them choose accordingly. Okay? Last but not least, trust. Trust is big. Of course, trust is big. Sometimes I used to say this. People say, I used to say, I don't trust anybody. People certainly have said that to me. I don't trust anybody. But that can't be true. It's impossible. You trust something. You trust something. When you say you don't trust anything or anybody, you trust something. You absolutely trust. But trust is important. Okay. Examine your beliefs about trust. Who and what do you trust in? And does it benefit you to trust in that? However, everything benefits you. You may just not want a certain type of experience. Therefore, trusting in something ultimately gives you the corresponding experience. Lack creates lack for a reason. It's the same vibration. Be of lack trust, and you will surely experience lack in your life. Okay. Message number 7 clearly speaks about trust. What do you trust? What do you trust? Who do you trust? What kind of information do you trust? What do you trust about you? What do you believe about you? What don't you trust? Where don't you trust yourself? And because of the distrust towards yourself, you put trust in someone or something else. Not only that, how do you know that you can trust who you put your trust in? How do you know that? That's an interesting question. How do you know you can trust who you put your trust in? This is a similar message to one of the other earlier messages about going to, for example, psychic readings. Again, I'm not against that. Sometimes I have them. But that's putting trust in other people. It's ultimately saying, I am not responsible for what's going to happen to me, but someone else is, because they know what's going to happen to me. The ultimate end result of what you experience is yours. Can people perceive certain things that are likely to happen based on your vibration? Absolutely, 100% yes. I see it all the time. However, you have some say in it. If you are, for example, if you go to someone and someone says, okay, you're going to be in this toxic relationship, and the first thing you do is you want to get out of it, and the person says, well, you're going to continue to be in this toxic relationship, and that's not what you want to hear. Perhaps the question you want to ask yourself is, why is that? Why does it look like I'm going to be in that relationship? I don't want to be in that relationship. So if you don't want to be in that relationship, ask yourself this question: why are you in this relationship in the first place? What is it teaching you? What is it showing you about yourself? What is it helping you understand about yourself? Know yourself better. Learn about yourself. The more you know and the more you learn about yourself, the more you become a powerful kick-ass attractor. So if you want less of the toxic relationships and more of the positive, higher vibrating relationships, then you have to look at yourself. What's going on inside of you? Why are you experiencing this experience of a toxic relationship? What toxic thoughts do you have about a relationship? Okay. And why would you want to be in a toxic relationship when it causes you harm? Why would you willingly choose to cause yourself harm? Isn't that an interesting question? Why would you want to harm yourself? Why would you want to put yourself down? Why would you want to limit yourself to just those toxic experience and not having another experience that's much more powerful? Why would you choose that for yourself? Remember, it's not a conscious choosing most of the time. Pile number 7, it's about becoming conscious on your beliefs. Conscious of what you trust, what you don't trust, what you distrust about yourself. If you don't trust that you can have a better relationship, as this example, you will not put your effort towards it, period. Or even if you do, you're going to fail. And you know why you're going to fail? By the way, there's no failure. You're going to fail is because you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to push whatever you want from you because your belief system does not support this. So if you happen to be in a toxic relationship, ask yourself, what is my belief about my relationship? Why am I in one? What parts of me have attracted this relationship to me? Not how I deserve to be in a toxic relationship. It has nothing to do with deserving. Although perhaps you have some belief that this is the only thing that you deserve. Perhaps your mom or your dad put up with a very toxic relationship and they didn't feel like they could deserve or have more. And as a result of that, you've learned that this is what you deserve. It's not what you deserve. It's not what you deserve at all. It's got nothing to do with deserving. Okay? It's about having other options, but aligning yourself with these options. And you have other options, but if you're not in line with those options, you're never going to get them. Okay? So perhaps number 7, you are in a toxic relationship, or you have been in toxic relationships, and you're wondering, why am I attracting these toxic relationships to myself? Examine your beliefs about you first and foremost, and what you deserve and don't deserve, what you believe you deserve or don't deserve. You deserve everything the universe has to give you. Whether you get it or not, you have to be in alignment with it. If you don't believe you don't deserve something better, you will not experience something better. It's that simple. Okay? It's a very powerful message, pile number 7. Last but not least, there is actually a number 8. Good and bad. Change your programming about what is good or bad and instead see everything as valuable experience. Be less or more of whatever you choose to bring into your life. Being less will give you less of. Being more will ultimately give you more of an experience. So this is very close to one of the other messages. I forget which one it is, but it's about judgments. Okay? And looking at our programming, what is good, what is bad. Everything is a perspective. Now, of course, somebody abusing somebody is most definitely bad. This is in our human consciousness, it's a bad thing. Wars are bad. These are 100%. From a higher perspective, there is no such thing as good or bad. Now, the human mind has a very hard time with that sometimes. Okay? How can something so evidently and obviously bad be not be bad in terms of higher perspective? Because higher perspective has no judgment. Doesn't have good or bad. It doesn't see things as good or bad. It sees everything as an experience. We humans think of things as good and bad, and oftentimes rightfully so. Okay? There's very little that's black and white in the world. There are some certain truths, and there's millions of other truths. What is right and true for you may not be right and true for somebody else. That's okay. It's just a different perspective. But there is a higher truth. God or all is all there is, and you are a part of it. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. Okay? When you see somebody who's struggling, don't judge them. Don't cast a judgment that they must be struggling because they don't deserve something better, or they don't know how to get something better. You don't know what's inside of them. Similarly, don't judge yourself as good or bad. You're both. You cannot understand good without understanding bad, and vice versa. It's the law of polarity. Okay? Everything swings both ways. There's polarity, and there is two extremes. Okay, we are striving for balance. No good, no bad, just an experience. When you start judging yourself as less good and bad, and more as a powerful creator that can create good or bad if he or she wants to. But when you see yourself as a powerful creator versus good or bad, your life is going to change, and it's going to change dramatically and drastically. Okay? Why? Because seeing yourself as a powerful creator, you will naturally live up to it. Seeing yourself as a powerful creator, you will naturally live up to it. Intentions play a role, yes. That's the power of knowing yourself. Okay? Seeing yourself as good or bad, or I'm bad at this, I'm good at this. You may not be great at something, but it doesn't mean you're bad at it. You're just not that good at it. Okay? Try not to limit yourself by naming things good or bad. Obviously, poison is bad for you. Don't have it. At the end of the day, poison is also an experience. So you see what I'm saying? It's higher awareness, and then we get to the human awareness. And sometimes we have to figure out how to play in this game where it's a whole bunch of paradoxes. You are a paradox. You are a paradox. You're a powerful being, indistinguished from source itself, but you think of yourself as small, as an example. That is a paradox. That's a paradox. I just heard more potential, less potential. It's all just an experience. So pile number 8, or message number 8. Try to look at life more as an experience than good or bad. So it has to do a little bit with judgments, which was one of the other points. Maybe don't think of a person as a bad person or a good person, but maybe think of a person that's struggling, or a person that's loving. Someone who's struggling may not be able to be loving. Doesn't mean that they're not loving. Doesn't mean they're not lovable. Doesn't mean that they're not capable of love. They're just not able to do it at the moment because of their struggling. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just simply they're having an experience. Try having compassion for yourself as well. And of course, it'll ultimately spill into other people and other things. You can't have compassion without passion or love towards something. You can't have compassion without love. Okay? I'm trying to feel the energy of compassion, and it feels like it's pulling me to this area of my heart. Compassion. Compassion is when we see through the eyes of love. Thank you. Rather than seeing through the eyes of good or bad, start seeing from the eyes of love. That's how the Creator sees you. And that's what I have for you. Message number 8. I hope this was helpful. This was certainly interesting for me. Very different than anything I've done before. But you still get your messages. So I think that's going to please many of you because it feels like a very personal message. Let me know how these messages apply to you, how you understand them, how you feel when you receive them. Do you get any tingly body sensations? Because this information is basically an energetic exchange. So I'm exchanging this higher frequency with you. And overall, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to my channel. I would love for you to click the notification button, subscribe, and like, comment. I would love for you to comment. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon.